Let me talk to ya. Today, on Thursday, my arm feels like it doesn't even belong to me, and my head feels like it's splitting apart like my sophomore year in college. But I tell you what, I am the two-time vaccinated champ, Flo Beto, and you're watching Draped and Go across the ring, across the pond, NXT and NXT UK talk. But as always, I am not alone. Just a minute ago, I was talking about this guy who's doing so many things. He has to plan downtime because he's a boss. Give it up for Jack Farmer. What's up, baby?
The man who's soon to be I guess this show. I'm already here. It's not soon. I heard the LA Night. I wanted to add another impression.
Hell yeah, man. Man, it's been a while, man. I missed you on Early of the Week. It was a dope show. How was that? Our sister show, by the way.
Without you, it was just so smooth and seamless, and everything worked out great.
I still got it. What up, Lamb?
No, man, it was. Hey, Lamb, thanks for joining us as always. Yeah, you know how it is. It was a fun show. Lots of arguing, lots of debating, all that good stuff.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that Elite of the Week on the Jack Farmer channel, do so. Not this week though, because I wasn't there. But any other week besides that, it was great. Like the backhanded promo,
right?
Let's talk about backhands, man. NXT UK, another prelude or takeover level show in more ways than one. Things were built going into it. Let's start with the main event first. Gallus boys on pop against the newly christened group of Symbosis, Eddie Dennis, Primate, and Tyson. Oh, sorry, no more Tyson T-Bone, just T-Bone. You just dropped the Tyson. You just straightly T-Bone now. Six-man tags are always fun. We all know that the WWE sphere doesn't really have trios matches in that way, but even when they do have six-man tags, it's always a delight. Jack Farmer, before we get to the nitty-gritty, the brass tacks, the meat and potatoes, thoughts about the match?
I thought it was a fun match. It was a good match. Obviously, there were a lot of big, heavy fellas throwing some big meat hooks throughout this one. Lots of bodies thrown around. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good match overall. I thought both teams did well, and I think Gallus got away with one. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Is that it? That's what you're gonna say?
Look, I'm gonna say. First of all, as far as Symbosis goes, I love the team and I love their name and their effectiveness. I thought really shined through here in this as a new team, but still working together well enough to go toe to toe with a team that has worked together for years and has all of that in-ring chemistry. But here's the thing about Gallus. It's incredible how quickly this team went from being the bulls of the brand to finding themselves in a must-win situation after a string of tough losses. And I'm not sure if they won or if they just survived here this week.
Well, we'll give a shout out to, I guess, the now Mike Wexler. I guess he got the new gimmick change, got signed to Stanford, it seems. What up, baby? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Charlene, yeah, he told got canceled. You know how it is. It's that vaccination thing. Let's talk about the 900-pound Primate in the room. Primate lost the match. He was a guy that had his shoulders on the mat. Now, I do recall there was a wild boar that lost a match, and he got excised from the team. But we're keeping Primate on. Is this just a fluke, or does Eddie Dennis have to rearrange some of the deck chairs on the Titanic?
I think if you're Eddie Dennis, you're always looking at how you can maximize your potential. You're always trying to find ways to get better. Now, does that mean it's time to get rid of Primate? I don't know. But I think that, again, what you're talking about here is Gallus, a team that has been together for years. Two of them are brothers. They've known each other their whole lives. So, of course, there's going to be a chemistry there. Of course, they're going to be at an advantage in a tag team match against three guys that just got together a few weeks ago. So I think the real question isn't about whether or not they lost. The question if you're Gallus, do you worry that you're barely able to hang with a team that just got together? You're getting outsmarted, outmuscled, outmanned by a team that just came together. You're supposed to be a team that has been working together forever. They should have done this easily, but they couldn't. And if you're Gallus, that's troubling.
The fact you cape for this group every week just astounds me. Like, not once, like, hey, I was pretty bad at it. No, the chemistry isn't quite there. Just 2 weeks ago, you're telling me, Flobo, the future is now. And now you're like, well, things happen. It works, kinks and everything. Like, what is it? Which one is it?
I think that it can't be all about winning every single time. No one's going to be undefeated their entire career. Even Andre the Giant eventually lost a match. It happens. It's fine. Now, I know Eddie Dennis right now probably went straight back to the locker room, probably has a whiteboard up with markers, and he's showing all these different things about what happened, what went wrong, and how to make it better in the future. That's what you do when you're a player coach like Eddie Dennis is.
The fact that Eddie Dennis doesn't have like a tablet, this astounds me. But speaking of undefeated streaks, Ava Valkyrie had her undefeated streak on the line against Meiko Satomura, and I said this on Twitter at Global Boys. It's an instant classic because even though Meiko Satomura won as the final boss, I was a bit surprised because of Ava Valkyrie's momentum and win-loss streak. Now, I don't get to say this often, but I get to say I was right because 2 weeks ago I said, Jack, is it smart with the undefeated Ava Valkyrie to go after Meiko Satomura before challenging for the title? He was like, I don't know, blah, 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 whatever you say, I agree with, because you're so smarter than I am. And guess what? She lost that match, no longer undefeated.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for her to be in. You're right. I guess she shouldn't have. She should have gone for the title. But if she can't get past Meiko, who says she's going to get past Kaylee Ray?
True.
The thing with Valkyrie, by the way, I agree with you 100%, by the way. They could have put this on pay-per-view. This was such a big match, such high stakes here. Valkyrie, this was the biggest match of her career, but it was just another match for Sadamora. And I think that is what made the difference here. Valkyrie has had issues with confidence, and I hope that this doesn't send shockwaves through the rest of her career. It's actually my hope that she uses this match to realize that not only can she hang with the best on the planet, but that she can still get better, and I think she will. Winning feels great, but now that she knows the sting of a loss, I think she'll be even more motivated to win again.
Hate to say it, but she counted chickens before they hatched. And they were saying that every feather in her headdress, shoulder dress was a fallen victim, but she plucked hers out to give to Satomura. So like, whatever. Logic. But right. The match itself was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty nice. And I think there should be a second one down the line because they do work well together. Almost a heavyweight bout in that division. And well, we said it's the praises of NXT women's divisions in total. This is a non-title storyline match with stakes. That's all we want, baby.
Huge stakes. And I think Sadamora, to her credit, proved why she's every bit the legend that she's been billed as. She was going hit for hit, and she was also going move for move. And I was actually watching this, feeling like they kind of went through every type of wrestling match there is and won. I mean, there was striking, there was wrestling, there was catch as catch can. They went to the top rope, there was chain wrestling, and doing what no one has ever been able to do, beat Valkyrie. Sadamora, I think when we have to ask what's next for her. And I think at this point, it's whatever she wants. She has the legendary name. She has the big win. She can do literally whatever she wants in WWE right now. And I think there's no one, any of the general managers that would say no. I think she's earned anything and everything she wants at this point.
I do think if Sadamora is feeling herself based on strength of competition, she should challenge for a Kaylee Ray's title one more time. But Kaylee Ray has an immediate challenge. Sid Scala makes an appearance in ring because usually he's backstage or in his office, not going to work apparently. But there it is. 5 women were announced. Ginny, Isla Dawn, Zaya Brookside, Daniel Luna, and Amelia McKenzie will all have a match to contend to be the next number 1 contender. And I know you're a big Kaylee Ray fan, so I'm going to ask this question kind of knowing half of the answer. But who do you think has the edge in this eventual match? And if this winner of this match has any chance against Kaylee Ray?
Well, yeah, Kaylee Ray is going to win. She's going to be the forever champion. She says it all the time. The thing I want to focus on here, though, is I loved how they presented this, Flobo. Gauntlet matches are nothing new in pro wrestling, but this is how you make it feel important. Don't just announce it and then have a graphic. They had an amazing song in the background. They had spotlight showing the women as they were announced. This is how you do it big. And NXT doesn't have the biggest budget when compared to the other brands in WWE, but this is how you still stand out as one of the best wrestling shows because you take everything you do and you let us, the viewers, know that it is important. Every single one of those women featured felt like they had a chance to win the whole thing. It was done so well. I loved it. If I'm going to pick someone, I'm going Dani Luna.
Interesting choice. Why so?
I think because in something like a gauntlet match, it usually comes down to someone who has something like the raw power that Dani Luna has. It's because of the nature of a gauntlet match, because it's so many people, there's the order in which people enter. You can't really game plan as well. So when you have a strength like that is so much farther off the charts than everyone else, you can really leverage that for a win. So that's why I go with Dani Luna.
I like it. I like Ginny too, but I like Dani Luna being the number one contender. And of course, Dani Luna is now solidified in her group with Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, known as Subculture, because they really love subcultures, apparently.
Right.
What does it look like for NXT UK? Are we thinking we're going to see more mixed factions, or is this kind of a one-time deal?
I don't know. I would like more mixed factions. I feel like in anything else you see, factions are mixed, so to speak. You know, the X-Men have guys and girls on the team. The Avengers have guys and girls on the team.
Logic.
So it makes sense that you would have people together. I mean, when we do shows, we work with females. We have Leslie on the shows, and we don't go, sorry, this is a guy's show. No girls allowed. It's not a tree fort. So it makes sense that they
your tree fort doesn't allow girls. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, every good tree fort says no girls allowed on the front of it. That's the
facts.
That's the rules.
Yeah,
I don't make the rules. That's how tree forts work.
That's the way it's always been done.
But I think that makes sense. I think it's great. I think this group sounds cool. I like that they talked about subculture being the things that makes them stand out, and those little things that they're a part of and they love it kind of helps shape who they are, especially as a wrestling fan. So many of us, for wrestling fans, wrestling is our subculture. And so in a way, I think it speaks to a lot of us. I thought that was a cool move. It was a cool video, and it was good for the group.
I actually agree, but I want to talk to Lamb's point. His pick is to win it is Amelia McKenzie. Now, I don't think that's a bad pick, Lamb. It's kind of a hot and spicy take here. Kind of a mild take. Like, here's the deal.
Yeah.
I like Amelia McKenzie. I see in the mind's eye this issue of having these two women a very similar size and strength and body types going in this kind of wrestling of having this, like, using the limbs, being as manipulative as you can with the joints in the ring. I do think the injury that Amelia had totally hurt the momentum. Had she been around when Kaylee Ray was champion, I would say, oh, done deal. That's a perfect storyline. I just think that we have to be reintroduced into the pecking order, if you will, of the women's division. It is not a bad thing. I had picked Jenny only because I do think she'd be the one to be like the eviler of the evil ones, but that's me personally. But I don't know. I don't do the whole prediction things. I don't have asterisks like Jack does. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So yeah, I think Jenny's amazing. She could absolutely win. I also think Mackenzie could as well. With Mackenzie, I agree. It's a when I say spicy take, it's like this kind of spicy I like on my food, which is not very spicy at all, but still a little bit. So I feel like I'm getting spicy, but most people are like, Jack, this isn't spicy.
Tapatio takes.
So I think exactly. So I think and to your point, I think that's what it is just I think she's been away for a little bit, and when you're at this level, you have to be used to being in the ring and being out there and being in those matchups. And that's where the people like a Ginny who have been there getting hit. It's just like in football, when you haven't played for the whole off season, you go out there for the first time. It's a little rough getting hit for the first time in a long time. You have to get used to it again. And I think Mackenzie will get there, but I think it might be too quick for her, but who knows? She could prove me wrong. She's a talent. So for sure.
Take it from me and my Rocket League team's results last weekend. There is a thing as early season form. Just give us time, babe. Look at the champion.
I believe in you.
Thank you, man.
Asterisk.
That should be a t-shirt. What? Dude, yo, Real Jack Farmer at Thrillers.com. Make that happen. I believe in you, asterisk.
I love it. Yes, that. We will. You know what? I'm going to print that up.
Let's talk about people that need a little bit of love and believe themselves. Dave Mastiff and Ilya Dragunov had a little interaction backstage and talk about things that were out of order. Had Dave Mastiff not fought Sam Gradwell, I'm like, cool. But if Ilya Dragunov totally demolished Sam Gradwell not once but twice, what chance? I can't believe I'm saying this. What chance the 335-pound Dave Mastiff has against a berserker in Ilya Dragunov? Jack, what?
I have to give Mastiff credit for not slowing down and not giving up. But yeah, he needs to find a way to bounce back before he starts challenging Dragunov, because you're right, Dragunov is unstoppable right now. Mastiff, I like Mastiff. He was my pick to win the Heritage Cup. I'm a fan of the guy, but he's on a losing streak. He's got to get in there with some people that he can get some easy dubs over, get some momentum going. Right now, if we're in Vegas and we're betting, I am betting the farm on Dragunov, because Dragunov's unstoppable right now.
Yeah, it's like a plus 650 for Mastiff if you want to bet on him. I don't think he has much of a chance, which is a good thing, I guess, for Ilya Dragunov, because you can say, I took out these large competitors. I'm going to work my way back to Walter. So if anything, Mastiff played into Dragunov's hands. Maybe Ilya's a bad guy.
I mean, maybe the way Mastiff is looking at this is he's like, I got nothing to lose. I'm on a losing streak already. So if I get another loss, it's not really a big deal. But if I'm finding a way to stop Dragunov, that puts me right back in title contention. So that might be his thought process. The other side of it, though, I look at is, man, if you lose again, then what's the point of you on TV? You need to go back to the Performance Center and start getting some getting back on track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I'm a fan of Mastiff. I'm not saying I don't want to see him on TV. I'm just saying, man, you lose like 5 in a row.
True.
You're in dangerous territory.
I agree. But didn't Eddie Dennis lose 3 of his last 4?
No.
What do you mean no? It literally happened.
No. I mean, when you're Eddie Dennis and you're shaking and moving and you're elevating people around you, it's a different story. Mastiff is on his own. Mastiff is on his own, but right now you've got Eddie Dennis bringing the best out of Primate and T-Bone, so he's making a net positive either way.
Speaking of revisionist history, Sam Gradwell and Trent Seven get into it about who was considered the founding father of NXT UK. Very valid point from Sam Gradwell, saying, hey, look, I was around the same time you were. I kind of signed the contract around the same time, but everyone gives you the credit, Trent. I am no pushover. I keep on fighting. And it's true. We do forget about Sam Gradwell's early contributions to the brand, but is it enough to bring that to Trent Seven? Is it enough to really say, look, respect me, without having the string of wins and matches that Trent Seven's had?
I know a lot of times Gradwell is just talking trash, but this time he was talking facts. I loved this so much because it felt like he made an evolution today from being just a loudmouth to being one of the true top mic men of NXT UK. This wasn't him just talking trash. He was making valid points. This was emotional. This was a real thing he was saying. He should be treated like one of the founding fathers. He was one of the guys that was there. He did sign the contract on the same day. He is putting in the work. He did come back from a big injury. We should be giving him the respect. I love this. I thought this was more than just a fun little trash talk that we've gotten so used to. This was very real, and I think this was a huge step up for Gradwell. I loved this a lot.
So Gradwell, Trent Seven, eventually what's going to happen. Who'd you give the edge to?
I give it to Gradwell. He's on. He got a huge win against Mastiff. I think he's focused. I don't think he wants to just pick fights anymore. I think he wants to show that he's everything he just said he was. He's one of the founding fathers. This is a different Sam Gradwell. I think we're going to be very surprised with what we get from him over the next few weeks and months.
I'm gonna be surprised too, because again, I have not jumped on board fully. I have one foot on. I'm still digging for the change in my purse, trying to find the right thing to get on the bandwagon. But I do like the fact that even despite his losses, he does seem to be stronger every week. And he's the kind of guy in season 1 is a villain, but over time you're like, oh, he's a guy with his own moral code. I respect that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, very Loki from 4.
I like that one. Loki was a jerk.
Right.
Straight asshole. The top of the card today was the debut in I can't even say it straight. Rohanraja, because of how that match ended, against Teomon in a referee stoppage. Now, of course, when I asked you thoughts about the match, I thought about the debut of Rohanraja, but I can't think in recent history having a hyped debut end in defeat, to my knowledge. Jack Palmer, what say you?
Well, I think the thing comes down to the fact that this was a make or break moment for Teomon. He's a guy who came in with fanfare as well. He put together some wins, but before this, there was no real serious wins. And I think he felt the same way because he came into this guns blazing with hard hits. And dislocating the arm or the shoulder or whatever it was to show us how brutal he was, I think was exactly as he's been advertised. This was, like I said, kind of make or break for him. And he broke, I guess, if you want to say it.
Yeah.
For Rohan, I'm always going to have time for the guy because he's formerly trained by Lance Storm. So he has to be one of the all-time best wrestlers of all time. But I thought it was a solid performance on his part. And look, he forced an arm break before he got the loss. But you're right. It's a weird situation where he's hyped. He's doing promos while he's walking out to the ring and still comes out with an L. I don't know how bad the injury is going to be. I hope he's back. But if I'm him, I'm looking at trying to get a little bit of a rebound, maybe someone who's a little less dangerous. I'm thinking maybe someone like a Jack Stars.
Ooh, dang. Speaking of Jack Stars, his former protege, Levi Muir, was also in action, this time against Shaw Samuels. And 2 questions. Are Jack and Levi still cool? Because I haven't seen them together in months. But more importantly, Shaw Samuels getting some of that momentum himself. I guess I should apologize for making fun of his suspenders.
Well, you should, because he's terribly dangerous. As far as Levi goes, look, he has one of the best bodies in pro wrestling, hands down. I'll say it. I don't care. That guy looks amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure if he keeps at it and he keeps doing what he's doing, he'll find a way to carve out a role for himself and be on TV a little bit more. Because like I said, he's got the look. He hung in there with Shaw Samuels, which no easy task. But Shaw Samuels, that's the story, Flobo. I could watch this guy perform every week. He's loud and brash, and people may get rubbed the wrong way sometimes, but that guy will kill you if you lower your guard for just a second, as Levi found out. Personally, I want to see Shaw Samuels take on Dave Mastiff. I want to see those 2 thick boys go at it.
That reminds me, speaking of Samuels, what happened to your girl Nina? She's still around or what?
Nina is probably, just getting ready for her next run. Maybe in a movie somewhere. She's such a star. She's probably doing the media rounds and things like that now that she doesn't have to babysit Brookside.
Yeah, potentially number 1 contender side, Brookside. Can't forget that part.
That's true.
Before we move on to Stateside Prime, thoughts about NXT UK as we wrap this part up?
This was just another great episode. Like I said, they're so good about taking what they have and making things seem important. Wrestling is all about presentation, and NXT UK does the very best presentation without using just super high budget sets and things like that. Because obviously, like SmackDown is probably the best presentation you're going to find in pro wrestling.
Oh yeah, TV. Yeah.
Absolutely. But they've got some money to spend. I don't know what the budget is at NXT UK, but obviously they don't have all of that going for them, but they use what they have to just make everything seem so important. Every match and everything that happened on this episode, which by the way, just a weekly episode, not a takeover, not anything like that, just a weekly episode. And you got a super legend going up against an undefeated wrestler. You've got a debuting wrestler that's been all over the world against a guy who's also debuting that has proven that he's one of the most brutal people in wrestling going at it. You've got a new team that is taking over the company, going up against the old guard that has ran the company for a long, long time. So much big stuff is happening. And like I said, just look at the way they announced that Gauntlet match and compare it to other announcements for Gauntlet matches. And you can see that NXT doesn't just act like something's not important. Everything is important in NXT UK. And that's what makes it a show that is must watch, in my opinion.
Damn, that's a very high praise. I'm glad you're on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's
Good to be here. Bye.
Let's move on to NXT Classic, which I have to get into the habit of watching it live, which I want to say is my viewing habits have changed. I'm usually a guy that tunes in at like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning. I get up, I roll over, I watch NXT. Whole different vibe watching wrestling before sunup. But this main event was kind of interesting. MSK and Kushida taking on Legado del Fantasma, still looking fresh, still looking fly, and Legato gets the win here. And 2 questions. One is always going to be pretty standard here. Thoughts about the match and the implications for the tag division. But 2, how long has Joaquin Wilde been Papacito? I feel like it was the first time that was mentioned.
That, I did not notice that either. You're right. I agree with that. I didn't notice it was mentioned either. Maybe it's been that way forever, but I like that MS Kushida just said, you know what? RK Bro sounds cool. Let's just do the same thing with our name, MS Kushida. But
yeah,
I was watching this match and I was thinking to myself as this was happening, if you are new to NXT, if you're saying, hey, it's not across from another brand right now, or it's on a new day that works for me, or I've heard about it, I'm going to watch, and you're watching that main event, I don't know how you don't come back for more, because that was such a good setup. Visually, everything looked cool. Like the Legato del Fantasma, I've said a million times, their entrance attire looked cool and striking and stood out, as well as once they got wrestling, they obviously have a style that fits them, a lucha libre style. I want to say lucha underground because it still even kind of has it looks like it would fit in lucha underground, but MSK stands out, jumping around everywhere, high speed. Kushida also going through tables and everything else. This had everything to hook you in. Legato del Fantasma just looking ruthless and aggressive and holding the titles up after the match. How do you not get hooked in after a main event like this? This literally had everything. And if you're someone, again, if this is the first time you've watched NXT, you got to come back. That was the perfect main event for one of their first times on Tuesdays. So well done.
Kushida got shoes back. I think it was a good upgrade. I was not a fan of tape feet. Did not get it at all.
The shoeless, I thought visually I liked the look without the shoes, but I'm probably like a lot of other people, like with Matt Riddle. I'm always just like, oh, your toes, your ankles, you're going to hurt yourself. Stop.
Yeah. Rams made a deal, bro. They're not cushy. But no, I thought the match was pretty solid. Definitely has like a nice button on the feel of things. Like there's enough stakes, enough implications for everything with the tag team division and the cruiserweight division, because I didn't know this at the time, but it seems your boy Santos wants another shot at the cruiserweight title, which I thought he would have moved on and become president of the United States by now. But it's kind of cool. That's still part of the mix, everything. And Adam Ghazi says, yes, thank God for the shoes. That's what I'm saying, man. What's wrong with shoes? I like shoes.
Like I said, as a visual, I like the no shoes, but it's kind of like when someone wrestles with no knee pads. I'm like, your knees. The whole time I'm just like cringing at the knees.
It's funny you say this because okay, we were talking about Cody Rhodes, right? How Cody Rhodes didn't have knee pads for like the first half of his career. I look at someone like Big E, who took time off for like tearing his meniscus, comes back and still does not wear knee pads. You're just like, stop doing splits. What are you doing? But I hear you. I'm the same way. Elsewhere in the NXT verse, Bronson Reed takes on Why Is Everyone in the Dark? Austin Theory for the number one contendership for the North American title, which Bronson Reed wins pretty handedly. Quote, Indy Hartwell tells Dex Loomis, you talk too much, and she doesn't want to hang out with them. So we have a match result, and we're having drama unfolding at the same time.
Yeah, this was a fun, silly kind of match. I walked away from this.
Got that right.
Thinking to myself, Austin Theory is going to be such a big star. He's going to be such a major star. Obviously, he's got the look. Obviously, he's got the talent. But I was thinking about the all-time greats, and almost every single one of them went through a phase that was kind of embarrassing. The Rock, when he debuted, looked a little embarrassing. Triple H is the blue blood looking guy, kind of embarrassing. This is Austin Theory's kind of embarrassing time. This is his Doctor of Thugonomics time, I think. I think this is one of those phases that we'll all look back on and think it was a little bit silly, but it'll be what gets him endeared to us viewers that he eventually uses to catapult into superstardom. I think as I'm watching this, this is him showing the world that he gets it and he's going to be a massive star.
I have to agree with you. There was a time where he was, to Lamb's point, he was strictly a prodigy. And that was great. I mean, there's a lot of people that can get on with that. But I do realize, for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into that now, that there was a break in the career of Austin Theory. There was almost a chance to work on some sort of character work. Whether or not he becomes that lovable oaf forever, I doubt it. But I think that's also important. That will, like, it was like a shortcut that became a stop at the nearby Cracker Barrel for an hour, right? You come back, refreshed, renourished, to have a whole new interpretation. So I'm liking this one. I'm still kind of curious about Dex Loomis giving other women flowers. He's now Indy Hartwell. First is the first time I'm going to say this. He was kind of creepy last night or Tuesday. He was kind of creepy. First time I'm going to say this. First time.
I'm going to say there's kind of a few creepy moments, honestly. Like, clearly not understanding what no means. Why, as Indy Hartwell's saying, "Leave me alone," and he's following her. She says he's talking too much. I don't really understand what happened because they seemed like they were lovey-dovey last week, and now they're completely unhappy.
That's about love, Jack. It's complex. You get married, you know someone, you get to marry them, and then you get to know someone. That's how it works.
Well, one thing I've always said is true love is overrated. We have
is your girlfriend home?
But yeah, I'm very interested to see what the flowers are about, and especially going to Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, what that's all about. I think right now this is one of those times where we all go, I don't get it, I don't understand. But I bet in a few weeks, we are going to have a bunch of different wrestlers entangled in this whole triangle, and it's going to be really fun, and we're going to really enjoy it, and it's probably going to be a great takeover match somehow down the line.
Hopefully. You're lucky. Because, as much as I love Dex Loomis, and I was all about him saving Indy Hartwell because she was all about it, the moment she's like, I don't want to talk to you, go away, you can't follow her without showing any kind of emotion. You can follow her and say, hear me out. I'm an adult. Let me see my side of it. But you're just doing one of these. That's bad news. I can't support that. Like it's weird.
Yeah, he definitely had that. Oh, you're leaving the bar to go home into your car? I'll follow you kind of vibe. Where you're like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. That's weird.
Can you imagine that? This is the Attitude Era. You have like a slick best friend, like Spanky, or Brian Kendrick. Come on, Dexter. That's how we do it. I'm gonna show you how tips.
Yeah, I would love if now Dexter never talks, so it'd be really funny. I feel like we're setting up to a moment where he wears an earpiece and someone tells him what to say, and like a cartoon, and then something happens to the person telling him what to say, and they start saying random things, and Dexter Loomis continues to say it like.
A bee flies in the house. Oh, yeah. Get off of me.
Yeah, exactly. The bee shows up and like, get away from me. Dexter starts saying that.
Oh, man. I like how NXT would be the most serious and the most goofiest show at once.
But it'll work. Somehow it'll work.
It would work for him, yeah, because he's a cartoon. But side tangent, women's tag team division, because Dexter had given Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, allegedly, flowers, Robert Stonebrand was involved in a tag team match. It was thrown out, but they were walking around with the titles as if they won it. I get Robert Stonebrand are going to be like a kind of the comedy group of that division, but is it wrong for me to still hold out hope that they may actually be a credible threat to the women's tag team championships?
I love them. I wish they would be credible threats. I wish they would get opportunities and have more matches and get some wins because they're entertaining. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day is entertaining. So I wish they would get those shots. I also like everyone involved. I think they're all great on the microphone. I think they all wrestle well. And I think they all contribute. So why not?
Why not? Speaking of people that are contributing, let's talk about this. One of the most goofiest matches. I put a poor taste in my mouth. You know why in just a second. Toni Storm had a match against Zeta Ramir, the former AQA, where Zoe Stark comes down to the ring and distracts Toni Storm because, frankly, Toni Storm has not been feeling herself since she lost to Zoe Stark at the last Prelude preliminary matches, or dark matches, or kickoff show match, or whatever you want to describe it as. Zeta Ramir gets the win. Basically, he does a shooting star press, which is pretty spectacular, on Toni Storm, a former NXT UK Women's Champion, and Toni Storm is beside herself. A lot of things to unpack here. Zoe Stark looks like she's going to be in the mix for a long time. She's not a flash in the pan. Great. Toni Storm has not been herself since 2019. And 3, you just can't have Zeta Ramir throwing out shooting star presses and just be like, see you next week. Like, what just happened here, Jack? Stories abound.
You're right. There is a lot to unpack, which should be the tagline under the show. Draped in gold, a lot to unpack. So something just isn't firing for Toni Storm right now. I don't know if there's something that we don't know about that's like working against her, whether she has an injury or something. But yeah, ever since she took that loss at TakeOver from Zoe Stark, who, by the way, no joke for Zoe Stark, she's amazing. But ever since she took that loss, just not clicking here. It's almost crazy. It almost sounds silly to say there was a time when Toni Storm was in the conversation as someone who could potentially take the title from Io Shirai. That sounds silly to say right now because now if we were having a number one contenders match and you said that Toni Storm was in it, I'd say, why is she in that? Because she's slid so far. I don't know what's going on. Something ain't going right, though. Toni Storm needs to figure out how to get back on track very quick. As far as her opponent, it was, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. It's Zaida?
It's Zayda Ramir? Oh, Zaida Ramir. Zaida Ramir. I think
Zaida Ramir. Yeah, she hit just a pristine shooting star press. I mean, that was probably the farthest away from the turnbuckle shooting star press I've seen in a long time as well, because that was not close to the turnbuckle where she did it from. Oh, yeah. Easily biggest win of her career, clearly. She is kind of the women's division answer to Leon Ruff, someone who no one gave a second thought to, but then got a massive win. But the question for her will be, can she follow it up the way Leon Ruff was able to with bigger wins down the line?
True. If I don't like to push independent wrestling promotions, but one of the few promotions I try to watch regularly is Raw, which if you guys have not seen Raw, you should. It's pretty awesome. Comes out every Thursday, I think. Thursday. It's Booker T's Rally Wrestling out there of Houston. AQA, former 3-time Diamonds champion, the women's division champion, can go. Basically carry that division on her back, her and Hyann. So it's cool to see her in NXT. That's more to come. And I have to go. Adam does agree with you. The hang time and distance was pretty much impressive. Lamb says this: Toni Storm will get back soon for sure. Right now is not her time on NXT yet. Now, I hate to say this because that means Jack is right. So, but I was, and I still am, one of Toni Storm's biggest proponents. Even back at our former employer, I would say, guys, Toni Storm. I bought her merch back when NXT UK Talents merch was never discounted, so I paid the full $40 with shipping for her shirt. I was all about that. But I can tell you, the one moment in time that broke my heart, that made me rip up the virtual posters, was Takeover Cardiff or Blackpool 2, when she lost the title to Kaylee Ray. Since she lost the title to Kaylee Ray and was crying when she did it, she has not been the same person. And it's unfortunate it's going the way she's going. Of course, you want to build new stars. You want Zoe Stark to do well. But the way it happened tonight, if I was to tell someone Toni Storm was like my pick to be on top of the division, it's hard to sell that. I know it's all about time. And in 6 months from now, I'll be like, what do you mean, Flo? Well, she's the number one contender. But right now, it is pretty rough to be a Toni Storm fan.
You're right. It must be rough to be a Toni Storm fan. I mean, I like her too. I always say she's someone that stands out. She looks like someone that stands apart from everyone else. You're not going to confuse her with the other competitors in the division. She's talented. She has everything you're looking for. She checks all the boxes, as we say. That's why I say, I don't know if there's something we're missing here, something that maybe we don't see as we watch that might be holding her back or hurting her right now. Maybe to Lamb's point, she's just needs to wait for that opportunity to get in where she fits in. But it's so weird. She came in with fanfare. She was going to be a big deal. Like I said, it felt like she was destined to win the title. Now, I don't know. I mean, I almost wonder if it's time for a change of scenery for her. Maybe NXT just isn't her place. And maybe whether it's NXT UK again or going to SmackDown or Raw, maybe she just needs a change of scenery.
Let's talk about changes of scenery or even changes of lineup. Imperium had a match against Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, where Drake Maverick smartly is like, you're going to turn on me, aren't you? Killian is like, oh, I'm not going to do it, fam. The match pretty much here, rank and file order. But I like the fact that Drake isn't playing dumb. I do like the fact he's like, yeah, you're totally going to beat me up. It's cool. I'm waiting for it.
To be fair, I think Dane does beat him up in every match, doesn't he? Doesn't he like powerbomb him onto the opponents and things like that?
Out of love.
Well, that's fair, I guess. I think the story here is Imperium, Flobo. It's always Imperium. You know, there's no team in NXT right now that has a better combination of everything you need. They have strength, speed, durability, endurance, focus, skill, strategy, and aggression. Sometimes we as fans, we get caught up in how people talk on the microphone or their back and forth rivalries. But when you look at the measurables, like the things that really count, there is no one in NXT that measures up to Imperium right now.
Wow. I think you're right when it comes to tag teams and factions. But individual talents, it's my next match here. Mercedes Martinez, Dakota Kai. And Mercedes Martinez, strength, power, a little bit of speed. People give her enough credit for. The match was a no contest, but it's seeing now more than ever that Mercedes Martinez can be a credible threat to being the next number one contender for Gonzalez NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah, I think she's very credible. I want to give a shout out quick to her. I love her entrance. I like how it just feels ice cold and it's almost silent except for like the guns cocking and like the way she has the spotlight on her when she gets on the turnbuckle. Very cool. But of course, entrances don't win you matches. I thought she's everything you want. She's tough. She's a veteran. She knows what she's doing. She's even busting out new moves. She had this match won until she realized that the one that decides when matches ends is the women's champion, Raquel Gonzalez. And Raquel felt like this one needed to end when it did. So she came in there and, man, Mercedes took a rare beat down. But I have to ask you, Flobo, is Mercedes going to come back even more angry after this? Because I, for one, would not want to be the one that Mercedes is looking for when she wakes up after this attack.
Mercedes Martinez, I said this before, is one of the few people that if I got beat up by Mercedes, I wouldn't tell my cousins or my boys. They would not come in droves and support me. Nope. She'll beat them up too, bro. Like, what am I doing? So yes, people like that do not get angry. They just get more vicious because she can enjoy beating you up, which is even worse than being angry to beat you up. Let's look where she's built from. She's from Waterbury, Connecticut. But she's built from Brass City, CT for a point and a reason, because that makes you that much more intimidating. So, yeah, I don't know. I know it probably won't happen, but I would love to see her as the next NXT Women's Champion sooner rather than later. But got to play a little bit of that tennis back to you. The next question. Dakota Kai, we talked about her and where she should go next. She's pretty much fine on NXT, but for this host, it's getting kind of stale, man. I want to see her take her bags and move on to greener pastures, wherever they may be.
Interesting. Yeah, I came into this match and thinking to myself that Dakota Kai has always had all the tools to be a major player and for a long time has. But she's kind of in an interesting spot right now. She's in a must-prove-it situation. Like, if you're going to be associated with one of the most dominant women's champions in NXT history, you need to be able to step up. And now she hung in there with Mercedes Martinez. And if the goal was to soften up Mercedes Martinez, then yeah, I guess it worked. But yeah, if you're going to be the partner of someone who's that talented and that strong, you need to be able to hang in there. If you're going to be the Shawn Michaels to Diesel, you need to be Shawn Michaels. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm with that. No one ever said Shawn Michaels ever pulled his weight.
Right. So I don't know. It depends. If she's good enough, if she is able to hang with Raquel Gonzalez and be that person, then I think she's fine. But if she's going to find herself not able to keep up and not able to hang at that level, then maybe it is time for her to try greener pastures.
Yeah, not being able to hang. I do hope that Dakota Kai finds that. I hate the fact she's kind of like the henchman because she is physically smaller than the champion. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, nah, come on, Raquel. But speaking of people that can't hang, your boys, Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa, go ahead and interrupt the Grizzled Young Veterans promo, which I hate them even more for it. But it seems on paper, these make sense. As Ciampa says, we're grizzled and we're veterans. But the actual matchup we're going to see on the horizon between these two teams, I mean, I know there was a time where they were teasing Timothy to join Imperium. We were teasing Tommaso Ciampa for breaking away. But it seems together they're going to be a unit for some time being.
Yeah, I think the Grizzled Young Veterans must listen to the show because they both got mic time as you have wanted so much this time around.
But Drake started.
Yeah, Drake. So he was like the star of it. But what I liked about them, first and foremost, is I like that they're talking about becoming champions. Like, that's what it's all about, being the champions. I like that they said they are going to lead the division. They want to be the guys on top. But then they got interrupted. And what I didn't like is it felt like for being Grizzled Veterans, all Ciampa and Thatcher seemed like they wanted to do was get Toothless Timmy Chance going. They didn't care about being the leaders of the division or becoming the champions. It seemed more like it was like having fun. And yeah, to your point, where was Thatcher all this time? You can't have us like wondering if he's joining Imperium or doing something else and then just say, oh, never mind, he's back. We're fine.
Yeah.
Come on.
I was still waiting for some kind of resolution to that, personally. Maybe it's coming soon?
I mean, I like that they're a tough team. I think these guys are gonna have a great match. I feel like this is a great example of how the NXT tag team division is fully restocked and looking good. But it did feel a little bit like, oh, okay, so you guys are just friends and you're also getting silly chants going now. It didn't feel very congruent with what we've been seeing so far. That's
an SAT word.
Yes.
Congruent. I love it because I have to look it up soon.
Yes. Basically, just that everything is like when you talk a certain way, when you like Santos Escobar is congruent in the way he dresses, in the way he talks, in the way he acts. Everything about him fits.
Right.
Ciampa and Thatcher, they go from being these ruthless killers to making silly chants to can I trust you to, oh yeah, we're a couple of old pals. It doesn't necessarily feel like it fits together all the time. And so it doesn't, I don't know. I feel like there's something not right there.
Oh, when your boy Flopito was saying that months ago, it was like, what do you mean? I'll totally support them. I'm Jack Farmer. You're wrong, Flo, but I'm just saying.
If someone can find the tape, I'd love to see it.
We make so much content, Jack. We just all this premium stuff to sift through. There's no way I can prove that I'm right, but I am. So we got to move on because in the interest of time. Is a little bit of a new segment we're working with here. This one's called, I don't have a name for you. Let me know what you think. I have it down to either NXT notes or burning questions, kind of a rapid fire lightning round type of thing, Jack. I'm going to ask you things that popped in my old dome while I was watching NXT Wednesday morning, super early on my way out to get my vaccine shot. You ready, Jack?
Let's do it.
Cool. Number one, first two matches of this week in NXT were women's matches. How far off are we from a women's only NXT takeover?
Oh, that's a fascinating question. I think it's one of those things. It could be very soon. It could also be a long ways away, not because of anything to do with the women's division, but there's also talent on both sides. So without it being something like a Mae Young Classic where it's specifically meant for that, I don't know if it's going to happen soon, but I certainly think they have the talent to do it.
Gotcha. Question two. Why is Ted DiBiase making Cameron Grimes' life a living hell?
Because he's hilarious. This was a show-stealing moment. I can't believe we have two total jerks that we're both rooting for coming together right now. I love it, but I think one thing no one's talking about is how Cameron Grimes said that he was getting the watch for someone, mentioned Karrion Kross wouldn't like it, might be getting the watch for Karrion Kross, similar to something Ted DiBiase did when he tried to buy a world championship in the past. Could old Cameron Grimes be trying to do the same thing with the NXT title? I
thought for sure he was buying the $1 million championship at the jewelry store, which that was the most Floridian looking jewelry store I've seen in my life. It was like, it was like on a strip mall somewhere.
Yeah.
Off the road, State Road. Ugh.
Did you notice it was also like bright outside when he got there, but like super dark when they left? Like, how long was he there?
I would have tried everything. Woo! Number three, Pete Dunne had a solid promo this week saying all roads are open for him, but where to?
Sometimes the choice of everything is harder than the choice of having one or two things. He could do anything. He could go anywhere. I love him on NXT because I think that's where you get some of his best matches. But between you and me, I think it might be time he goes to the red or blue brand.
Ooh, Pete Dunne on Friday nights?
On Friday nights with his best friend, Pat McAfee, calling the action.
Right. You mean that absolutely average commentator, which is kind of a downgrade comparing the reign that Corey Graves have, which if you know me, I'm not the biggest fan of Corey Graves to begin with. I'm just saying Pat McAfee's pretty mid. Pat
McAfee's the greatest of all time. He's already a Hall of Famer.
Not for this.
He's
not for commentary.
The only reason they haven't given him the ring yet is his career isn't over. That's the only thing holding him back.
Moving on. I mentioned this a little bit earlier today, but Santos Escobar cut a promo on Tuesday. He wants his cruiserweight title back, but why?
Because he's a champion. That's what he does. I mean, why would you think he's just going to let someone take something from him and then just walk away? He doesn't let that happen. Someone took something from him. He's going to go take it back, and he's going to bring back interest as well.
But a man that's currently his size has a North American title. Why not go for that?
He's not doing it because of size. He's doing it because of what it represents. So much of Lucha Libre coming to America came through in that cruiserweight division, and that's why he wants to run it.
I hate the fact that you totally slam dunked me right there. But that's fine. Damn, your answers, Jack, are clever. Your boy, Swerve, wants Leon Ruff in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Is this a mistake?
I love this promo from Swerve, by the way. I love the Swerve's house kind of promos. He stands out. I think it's something that younger audiences really like too, because it stands out and is different. I'm a little over watching Leon Ruff and Swerve go at it. I feel like they've had 1,000 matches right now. Falls Count Anywhere, sure. I just want it to be the last fall.
Oh, clever. 3 more for you. Adam Kroll's promo was slick. True or false?
True.
I like it.
No,
it's fine.
I thought he looked like a movie star. I thought Kyle O'Reilly looked a little weird watching on. Like, how are you going to break up with someone and then stalk their social media? Come on, Kyle O'Reilly. If you're so confident about going off on your own, why are you still scrolling?
I bet Dex Loomis does that.
Fair.
Frankie Monet makes another appearance this week. What's the over-under on her debut?
As far as win or loss, or how she's doing so far, is just
her first match. Like, what's the over-under from her first match? Like, are we 2 weeks for her first match? A month for her first match?
Oh, I think probably in 3 weeks.
That's it. And then on the chat, over under 3 weeks from today or this week from Frankie Monet's in-ring debut. And lastly, Diamond Mind. What does it mean? And should I give a hoot?
I have no idea what it means just yet. Could be anything. I would say give a hoot because NXT typically delivers pretty well on these kind of things.
What's the unit chat? Diamond Mind. The best 2 theories I've seen are a tag team or a stable or their answer to Raw Underground, which would be even hilarious if they did that. Because the parking lot's already so dangerous. Just go outside.
Right. It should be NXT parking lot.
The parking lot's over, dog.
That should be a takeover. I want you at NXT.
A video game.
I want you at NXT takeover parking lot. The most violent and dangerous.
Right of ideas. Like the WWE's like next Sunday at Dark Match. I'm going to. All right. So it's about high time we get out of here, Jack Farmer, but we can't go without having our MVP of NXT. That's a person, staff member, tag team that really stuck out for you in either one of the shows, NXT UK or NXT Prime. Who you got?
I think it's hard to not say Meiko Satomura. After defeating an undefeated competitor like Valkyrie, no one has ever done it in history. No one's ever beaten Valkyrie. Meiko did it, adding yet another feather to her cap in a big win.
Hate to say it, but I'm in complete agreement. It was Satomura's burrito. It totally proved it. Stole the show, NXT UK, definitely. But when it comes to strength of competition and what it means to be the final boss in UK, it's a done deal. Love it. I want to thank you all in the chat now. Lamb, always hanging out with us. A good time. Charlene, Adam,
thank you, Lamb.
Rolo, thank you so much. I'm sure we get some people on the replays as well. And if you are watching us on Twitch, hit that follow button. But we got to get out of here because, we got things to do and people to see and all that stuff. But Jack Farmer, where can the world find you online? Good, sir.
Yeah, you can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media, which is where most of my stuff is. I want to give a shout out to Lamb as well for also always supporting Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. It's much appreciated, sharing the news and things like that. Just so you know, you are very appreciated there. And you can check out our shows for Championship Wrestling every weekend. You can also see me on Wrestling Inc. I host their Raw after show there as well. So check that out.
Damn, what don't he do? Don't forget Anytime Radio, right?
Yeah, I do Anytime Radio as well. We're counting down the top 10 songs of the week. I got my buddy Andy Rossi on this week as well, where we play all sorts of music that he's a big fan of. So check that out. I also do the Everything Tournament with you right after this. And we're also starting a new show. Well, I'm starting a new show with said buddy Andy Rossi. It's going to be something called like the Evolution of Movies. We're still workshopping it. We're doing a pilot episode next week. So if you want to watch and listen, watch the 1990s classics starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, Lionheart. We're going to break it down and chat all about it. It's going to be a fun time, and we'll have that released next week, probably Tuesday night.
Is it live or is it recorded?
It will not be live, the first one.
Of course, because
it's going to be a pilot.
Yeah.
We're still figuring things out a little bit.
I respect that. Hey,
Yeah.
it could be the start of a whole dynasty. I remember watching the pilot episode of SmackDown. I am that old. So that was 25 years ago. Or whatever. But that does it for us at Draped in Gold, drapedingold.com. Learn more about the show. Of course, this show is part of the New Amsterdam Network. That's KNEW, Amsterdam.com. I'm Flobo Boys. After this, I'm going to get myself a stiff drink and get ready for the Everything Tournament. Just search Google for that. But until next time, Jack Farmer said the words.
Do your best and be yourself.